I'm just hoping that with this movie, yeah, another remake. I'm in the mindset as of right now how the internet has been twisting and pulling this movie, regardless of my opinion about how I feel about the movie. I will say the internet discourse about this film is so stupid. It's so dumb. This is why the internet sometimes just likes to make people like me feel whatever criticism I have. It just comes off as possibly being lumped in with this hate so much. I do not want to be associated with anybody that was talking in a way where effectively being rude to one another or being jerks to anyone. Because I hate it so much. So I want to make this clear. I do this for criticism. I don't do this for bullying. I am not with any of that internet crap.
Did I frighten you?
Snow White 2025 is directed by Marc Webb with a screenplay by Erin and Cressida Wilson. The film stars Rachel Zegler, Andrew Burnap, and Gal Gadot. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, a princess joins forces with 7 dwarves to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother, the Evil Queen. Oh, it has been a very, let's just say, it's been quite the journey for this remake after facing being delayed due to the writers and actors strike, but also facing multiple controversies on top of it, whether it was Ziegler's casting as the titular Snow White and her comments about the original film. I don't understand the hate boner for people like Rachel Ziegler, Brie Larson, and so many other women in the industry because so many people are targeting them for obvious reasons. And let's be honest, come on, don't lie to me. I know what it is. Noise and bugs the hell on me whenever a movie like this or any other film that Rachel Zegler will come out with is bound to be faced with this amount of grifting YouTube hype that I just do not understand. It's stupid, it's pathetic. As well as Peter Dinklage's response to the remake with his response about it being a backwards story, especially for those in the little people community. There's a part of me that feels like I agree with what he's saying, what he was trying to establish is that, like, yes, does it reinforce in some way stereotypes about how people with dwarfism are depicted in stereotypes because of their size? Yes, there is a part of that, and that is something to be called out on. At the same time, by doing that, it did lead to the dwarves being all CGI and no other casting towards anyone with dwarfism for those said roles. And so because of that, he kind of effectively affected what the film would have had for people like him. And then there was at one point the thieves were going to replace the dwarves. There were behind the scenes photos and saying that these were who were going to represent the 7 dwarves, and it was like 7 thieves, and then you had people complain, arguing, saying that it was taken away. The original movie was with the dwarves, and the visuals on the dwarves themselves. So, needless to say, it's been a bumpy road. It has been a substantially messy, crazy road that this movie has been on, add-on reshoots. And yeah, it's just been something. After seeing it, unfortunately, I don't want to do this, you guys. I really don't. As much as I do not want to be on that side of the internet that has been complaining and saying that this movie was going to be terrible and awful in any way. Unfortunately, I do think that this was a messy and prepackaged film that cares about the bells and whistles. Then being a faithful adaptation of the original animated classic, it relies so much on the idea of capturing the look and the feeling of the 1937 animated film rather than being just a decent enough adaptation to where it could be on its own, because it just feels like it's a weird hybrid of trying to be new but also still trying so hard to recapture those moments from the original movie. Before saying my problems, here are the few positives that I do have to say. Performances, except Gadot, and I will get to that much later in my negatives, are decent. Rachel Zegler, for as much as people were bragging and hating on her, and even to this day she will still get it, is carrying this entire movie. I'm not joking when I say this. Whatever you feel about her, Ziegler shines the most, and I am saying this. She is the thing that makes this watchable. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not doing this because people may think that I'm filling some sort of agenda. It's that she makes the most of this role and she truly delivers on it. And I give her so much credit. For somebody who is around my age, that's a lot to be asked for. For a woman who is starting out her career playing a Disney princess still early on, I gotta give her a lot of credit. That must be very hard, especially with all that hate on the internet, and yet somehow she was able to carry on a really good performance. And the rest of the cast is alright too. The score is whimsical. Composer Jeff Morrow does a fine job of complementing the tone of the original and adding some new levity to this new adaptation, making it enjoyable to listen to. At the very least, the score, it's nice. It fits the vibe and tone of what the original Snow White animated film was like. It does have that Disney touch to it. The production is there. From the musical sequences, costumes, and set designs, it's amazing. Minus the CGI, the work is shown. I understand it's Disney, it's a corporation, but I gotta give credit. They put much effort into making sure that the production of these movies tries to be as good as it can. As much as I did mention reshoots with this movie, and they are noticeable, I'll give them credit. There was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of effort being put into this movie, as well as, like I said, the costumes, the musical sequences, and the set designs. They're all there, filled with a lot talented people, talented artists who want to make the best adaptation that they can. That being said, beyond that, this feels like a soulless corporate live action retelling of the original 1937 animated film. I mean, honestly, does that surprise anyone? To be honest, like, really, does it? Here are now my negatives. The direction feels lifeless. Director Marc Webb doesn't have a voice nor lends his own style, making this feel like Disney is in complete control the entire time. There are probably some movies that he has done, but I just want to mention them. Like something like 500 Days of Summer. You want a good movie by him? Watch that. That's a really good movie. He has a unique voice and a unique styling of his own. Minus the Amazing Spider-Man movies, although I do not fully blame him for those films, I will not deny, was not crazy about them. This, to me, doesn't sound like this man has a voice, nor has any choices or inputs on this film. This feels so much like Disney is in full control. They had him there to just direct the film and just pretty much direct him on how to make sure that this turns out as good as it can. This doesn't feel like he had any input. This just felt like they just slapped his name on there. They had him on to at least direct, very much telling that he felt constrictive and very much buying to what they wanted him to make. Pacing and runtime is exhausting. Every scene feels extended and stretched out. With a runtime of 1 hour and 49 minutes, it shouldn't have been near 2 hours. How is this near 2 hours? Seriously, for a simple story like this, you managed to stretch this out to being 2 hours long. Why? There was no need for it. It makes no sense. Yet somehow you just wanted to pull on that string so that way you can squeeze out as much entertainment as you can. And by that point, you're just like, I'm done. I'm done with this movie. Can we wrap this up? The visuals are distracting. Besides the obvious green screen, the CGI animals, and especially the dwarves, just have uncanny valley to them. It just feels like the movie is covered in CGI all throughout. And listen, I get it. It is a magical world, especially in the realm of Disney. I understand that. That being said, the visuals in this movie do not help it, nor does it look impressive. It all just feels super artificial, as well as, like I said, it has an uncanny valley nature to it. The dwarves in this movie, as much as people have made their peace on the internet watching them, it does feel that obligation of being, pretty terrible. They look really bad. As much as I actually don't mind the dwarves in this movie, I cannot deny their design is not really good. The story is boring. Though the film tries to change things from the original, which I'll give credit to, is not a shot for shot remake like The Lion King was, it still isn't exciting for me. It just feels more hollow with tiny exceptions. There are some scenes that, okay, this can work, this is alright, especially with some of the changes, that's fine. But for the most part, I think Snow White is just, for me, not an interesting animated movie. Maybe that's just me. I'm just saying for myself, with this remake, it just doesn't elevate my love for Snow White. It just kind of either keeps it a little bit the same or a little bit downgrade. The villain is uninteresting. The evil queen feels more stale than she was, mainly because of, I would say, Gal Gadot. Listen, I'm not somebody that fully hates Gal Gadot's acting as much as people could say that she is just a terrible actress. I don't mind her as Wonder Woman. I think she was actually pretty good as that, at least minus the line range that she had to have. But realistically, as a person, I mean, I'm not gonna give her any sort of sympathy with regards to her views on things. But yeah, she's not helping this movie. I don't know if it's either this movie has been handled in terms of direction, not really by Mark Webb, but by Disney, as well as just maybe there could have been other actresses to fill this role instead of her, like literally anyone. The Evil Queen, in my eyes, is she's iconic in terms of look and sound from the animated movie, but that's about it. Otherwise, I just don't find this villain to be interesting in any sort of way. The reshoots are apparent, having to add the dwarves, which is very noticeable, as well as the thieves being kind of off to the side because again they felt like they were supposed to be a bigger role in this movie and they were pushed to the side. Feels like a mismatch to me, and it just is kind of showing how Disney was trying so hard to please both sides to this, which I don't get why they were. Why did you think having both of these things would work? I don't understand why. I don't know why they chose to do it. It's almost like again they are trying to squeeze as much money from everybody as possible on both sides of their personal opinions. And it is so stupid because of how much apparent it is when they have to have dwarves, but they don't want to disrespect Peter Dinklage's words, so we got to make them CGI. But oh, hey, we still showed off the thieves in this movie, so we're gonna have to still bring them in, but can't show them the entire time because then people will think and notice that they were supposed to be the dwarves, like that sort of thing. And it's just so apparent on how, like I said, how corporations sometimes will do everything they can to find little wiggle rooms, get as many people as they can on how this film was being made. The new songs are forgettable. Aside from the musical sequences and the same performances are very stellar for the most part, and the classic songs I won't bother with because honestly they were fine for what they were and they're not really that bad. These new songs, however, they just don't feel memorable and they feel tacked on in a way where I'm like, why is this here? I don't know, other than just, hey, they wanted to add some songs to the movie. That's it. That's all it was. It just kind of feels like it was just added because they wanted to. I really don't want to side with the internet incels with this movie. I really do not, people. I don't. I was in a theater with a bunch of kids with their parents, as well as even a guy who was definitely on the spectrum with his family of sorts or friends. But I do think that this movie was poorly put. Okay, that's just me. I don't want to do that. This is such a hard thing because for a movie that has been talked about on the internet and putting me in a position where it's like, how can I get my opinion across without having me sound like I'm a terrible, awful person with regards to having criticism about this movie, but not being lumped in with some of the worst people on the internet ever. I know this won't stop Disney, but it is sad to see a huge company do this a lot of times, especially for classic movies. Like, why do you choose to do this? Why not make original live action movies? Like, they used to do that more often than not, and they really don't anymore. They just, it's almost like after the 2010s, they just kind of swore off doing that and just started going into, by the mid to late 2010s, doing just remakes. And it's very apparent, it's very annoying, and I wish they could just not do it anymore, but I know they won't. At the end of the day, it's just another remake. It's another one that was just cranked out by Disney to see what new audiences will think of it. And while I do think that it will get some enjoyment out of kids, I will say this for myself, maybe so many other people. I'm just saying this right now. I feel like kids will probably watch the original in the sense of not because they don't care about this, but rather because the original is just more iconic looking versus this new one where, yeah, I don't want to throw harp on Rachel Zegler as much as she has been thrown so much on the internet. I don't see this movie ever going past the fact that it's like, all right, it's another remake. Yeah, they remade that one, so I'm gonna give Snow White 2025 3 out of 10. I just think this movie's kind of bad. It's kind of terrible, and I don't want to say that. Like I said, I do not want to sound like a terrible, awful human being because I really do not want to side with the worst people on the internet. I truly do not. But I cannot also sit here and lie about how I feel personally about this movie. But again, that's just my opinions. Hey, who knows? Maybe some people can walk out of this and be enjoying of it. I will be soon doing a review for the Alto Nights, and that is all of the March movies I saw. So yes, look forward to that review and other reviews coming soon.